Hello there, you're watching on television. This is State of Business. I am Pamudha Katukampala. Let's have a look at the headlines. Government holds in photo exhibition to bolster the IT sector of the country. 11 Sri Lankans stranded in Gaza safely arrives in the island. Welcome back, you're with State of Business. Now let's have a detailed look at the stories. The Infotel Information Technology exhibition, organised by the Federation of Information Technology Industry Sri Lanka, kicked off at the Bandaranaike International Conference Hall on the 3rd of this month. This event, themed Fueling the Digital Economy, is being conducted under the auspices of the State Minister of Technology and was held till the 5th of November. During the event, FITI's chairman Indika D'Souza presented a commemorative memento to the President. The President then conferred awards to recognise the innovative contributions made by school children. The distinguished gathering included the Minister of Education, Susil Premajanta, State Minister for Technology Kanaka Herath, and prominent from the IT industry.
If you're looking at $16 billion, where is the market penetration? How do you achieve market penetration, what we are to what we want to be? There has to be a plan for market penetration, where we are going to work, how we are going to achieve it. Now, those are the issues that we have to address, and that has to be addressed again by the industry, by all of you. So I would expect the associations involved in this sector together to come up with a plan, a strategy for market penetration.
Now, 11 Sri Lankan nationals from 2 families, including 2 adults and 9 children, who were stranded in the Gaza Strip have safely arrived in Sri Lanka. The returning Sri Lankans were welcomed by Foreign Ministry officials upon arrival at the Bandaranaike International Airport early morning yesterday. The entry of the 11 Sri Lankans from Gaza Strip into Egypt via Rafah border crossing was facilitated by the Sri Lankan Embassy in Cairo in coordination with the Egyptian authorities on November 2, 2023. The embassy officials visited the Rafah border to receive the stranded Sri Lankans. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs facilitated the arrangements of logistics and air transportation of the returnees with the assistance of the International Organization for Migration. The Consular Affairs Division of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs coordinated the arrangements for their return in collaboration with Sri Lanka missions in Cairo, Ramallah and Tel Aviv. Meanwhile, the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce has raised concerns regarding the proposed increase of the value-added tax to 18% from 15%. The Ceylon Chamber released a statement pertaining to this matter recently. While recognizing the government's commitment to revenue enhancement in alignment with IMF obligations, the Chamber said it is imperative to evaluate the broader economic ramifications of such a decision. The Chamber pointed out that as consumer spending plays a pivotal role in our GDP growth, there's a significant risk that this tax increase could lead to a further decline in consumption. The Chamber said that such hikes may inadvertently lead to further economic contraction, potentially offsetting the intended revenue gains. The Ceylon Chamber strongly recommended that the government explore alternative fiscal strategies, such as expenditure rationalization. It emphasized that challenges such as the Inland Revenue Department issuing tax default notices spanning several decades, highlighting the inefficiencies of the current system. The Chamber further pointed out that the Revenue Administration Management Information System demands further enhancement for maximum efficacy. It also said that a thorough digital transformation leveraging systems like RAMES is crucial for streamlining processes and optimizing revenue collection. See you soon with more stories after this short commercial break. Welcome back, you're watching State of Business. Now, the opposition MP and chairman of the Committee of Public Finance, Dr. Harsha De Silva, pressed need for reforms and emphasized the importance of revenue rationalization while ensuring fairness in the tax system. The Member of Parliament said this speaking at a press event held in Colombo recently.
Economic reforms across the board, public sector reform. So reform, I think, is the key word, and without reform, If people say we can change the course of this nation, I don't agree. So if people say, look, taxes are too high, we agree that it is painful. But what can a government do if you have only 8% of GDP as taxes? And don't forget, it was 20% in this country during the time of Mr. Premadas. It was something like 17% when Madam Kumartunga was president. How can we spend on education and healthcare and things like that with such little revenue? So you have to raise revenue. So revenue rationalization is essential. What I sort of disagree is the total lack of empathy. Absolutely no empathy. Yes, reforms have to be done, but you must understand that there is the other side of the equation. Right? There are people, human beings, who are unable to make ends meet.
Speaking at the event, he went on to say that the bloated state sector should be addressed through measures such as golden handshakes, privatization and other key reforms. He also emphasized the need for a funded retirement plan to avoid the burden of providing pensions on the government.
When I go down to the Parliament Library and make my own photocopy, they look at me in an odd way. Sir, I get a peon to make your photocopy. Why do I need a peon to make my photocopy? Am I incapable of making my own photocopy? Right, so I think there's a mental block also that we think that there have to be peons to make our tea, right, make our photocopy. We don't need those guys in the first place. That's another matter. But, how do you shrink this? So, golden handshake, privatization, then demobilization of the military. I mean, people don't want to talk about this. The politicians don't want to talk about this. We have the 25th highest military per capita or something in the world. If you look at the budget allocation for the military and the police, it's something like 500 billion. That's more than health, more than education. Both public sector and private sector must have a funded pension scheme. We have an unfunded pension scheme. We pay nothing to the pension.
Now, delivering its mid-year review of the 2023 budget proposals and implementation, Verite Research alleged that the government is refusing to inform the public on what it is doing with people's tax money. The independent think tank said transparency and accountability have statistically taken a turn to the worst, and the country is setting itself up for failure if it doesn't address these issues. The Verite Research Group expressed these opinions at a press conference held in Colombo last week. Verite observed 25 budget promises for its review and said that 68% of these projects offered inadequate data to the public, whilst 48% had no data on progress made. The think tank said these 25 projects had seen an allotment of over 49.3 billion rupees, and accordingly there was a lack of accountability for 47.7 billion rupees spent. They added, despite being bound to report on how public funds are spent and the progress of projects, only the Ministry of Fisheries had listed programs and progress reports. Furthermore, Verite reports the National Budget Department at the Ministry of Finance could not list owners for 44% of the chosen programs. It was observed that successive budgets from 2014 have allocated funds to set up new export processing zones, but no such facilities have been set up as of yet. It also opined that the lack of fiscal transparency is a key factor that contributed to the present crisis and loss of credibility of the government, both at home and abroad. Verite emphasized that transparency about progress of budget proposals could help to address concerns and improve Sri Lanka's chances of a sustainable economic recovery. Stay tuned for the stock update. Welcome back here with State of Business. Now the stock update. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on positive notes today. The OSHA price index gained 2.12 points to close at 10,791.99, and the S&P SL 20 gained 15.23 points to close at 3,046.51. The turnover was 0.7 billion rupees and over 0.7 billion shares were traded. Coming up next are forex rates. Well, that's it for tonight. For this and more, subscribe to our channel on YouTube and follow us on Facebook. Thanks for watching. Take care and good night.